when you are showing your work, then I imagine you get some diversity in the audience. How do they respond to that metaphor? Especially if they're an outsider and there's this distortion that you're speaking of, how are they responding to your work?
So it's interesting. The response overall is really good. But it is funny that people, like as an artist, you make something and you have this sort of thesis behind it, but people will bring whatever they want to bring to the work, right?
Sure.
And one funny experience I had was I had a solo show in San Diego, and I had all these paintings up. And in the paintings of the group of 15 paintings or so, there were 3 that showed the penis, right? And I had this guy who followed me on Facebook at the time. I'm not on Facebook anymore, but who followed me on Facebook, who drove to the show like 40 miles. And he came in, and he walked up to me, and he was like, I can't believe these are all penis paintings. And I was like, penis paintings? And I looked around, I looked at all the paintings, of which there were only 3, and I was like, is that what you see? And he got really offended. He got really mad at me. But it just is really funny, and it just sort of reinforced that idea that people will bring what they want to bring.
It's true. They're going to bring their own stories to the work. I one of the elements of it that I really like about your work is, it's such we live in a time where it's really difficult for men to show intimacy. And I feel like even well, I mean, obviously, like there's one behind you right now where the men are embracing, but even when the models themselves are solo, there's this sense of intimacy between you and the subject even. So it's not even you as an observer of that, but there's this intimacy there as well. Can you talk about your relationship with the models and how that comes together for you?
So I'll tell you another funny story, which you may or may not want to use because it's really pretty bad. But I often tell people that they're like one-night stands. The paintings are, because I have the experience when I get to the pool with the models is really intimate, and I try to bring something of the model to the piece to sort of give it. To let it emote a little bit more and to be a little more true. But they're like one-night stands, because for 2 weeks, I think of nothing but them, and I go to bed and I can't wait to wake up in the morning and see them. And generally, I love them. I have moments where I hate them or I'm pissed off at them. It's just totally like this relationship. But then at the end of 2 weeks, they hang on the wall to dry, and I am busy on another guy, and I make my lunch, I make my sandwich, and I come in, I look up and I go, oh, hey man, how's it going? And then I just go back to the other guy. So it kind of feels like that.
That's so funny. I was going to ask you if you talk to your work, because I talk to my work all the time.
I do, yes. But it is intense. And I think it builds this sort of, it's very social media, because you can build this relationship with someone you don't even really know.
Right.
I mean, some of the models I know really well, but a lot of them I don't. And it's just kind of an interesting experience.
And how do the models respond to seeing themselves as portrayed by you then?
So far, they've loved it. They really enjoy it. I think I only had one model who maybe seemed a little like shocked or something.
Yeah, I actually did a portrait of a friend 5 or 6 years ago here in Mexico City, and she was so offended by the portrayal that she asked me to remove it from social media and never show it again. And then she never spoke to me again after that.
Wow.
And I was just like, wow, okay, well, that's a very powerful response.
You must have hit on something truthful that wasn't pleasant or something.
I think, and I mean, that's part of painting other people is, you're talking about the relationship and how you build that intimacy in the work you're doing. but it's also, you know, we're projecting our understanding of that person. And I think sometimes there's something about the oils or acrylics, the materials that demand honesty. It's very difficult to be dishonest.
Yeah. You know, in fact, I see, I want to avoid doing work that feels wooden or unconnected.
Right. Well, it's to me, it's the joy of painting and art in general is that in a world of Instagram and Facebook and all these things where people are actively creating visuals all the time, it can be so surface and there's not, you can invent stories about what you're seeing in the frame, but there's no intention to it other than maybe a cultural desire to be liked or be seen as something.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree.
It's sort of a Renaissance ideal, you know, of what a portrait is. I guess that comes from wealth and, you know, opportunity. So
yeah, it's kind of interesting though. I actually really do enjoy making meetings happen with people who I follow on Instagram, because it kind of resets everything, right?
Right.
It sets everything to sort of a real base, and it's
fun. I enjoy it. I mean, I think it's, well, obviously this is the way I'm connecting with you. I've been following your Instagram for, I think, probably a couple of years.
Yeah.
So.
Likewise, we were in a show together.
Oh, were we? Which show?
We were in the
Baklaku.
It was the sort of virtual show. It was the Dab Art show for the.
Oh yes. Oh right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we're doing. This is actually sponsored by Dab Art. The technology, and they're actually sponsoring my queer art exhibition, Existimos. We Exist, which was supposed to be with Gay Pride in June. And Gay Pride has been canceled due to the coronavirus, and I'm waiting right now. We're planning on moving the show a little bit just to make sure, you know, we don't want to, you know, first of all, my first thought is that to do a show like this, and, you know, the artists have to ship their work internationally. So there's an expense to that. And at this moment in time, as artists, you know, people aren't buying artwork, and, you know, we're all kind of in this moment of tenuous, like what's going to happen. And I don't want to put more pressure on artists. So by moving the show, hopefully things will have calmed down a little bit more. So yeah, I think we all need to like start taking payment plans on paintings that we have, and, you know, reduce the stress for our clients.
That's what I did. I did it in response to the fact that the gallery that I have, that has a gallery here in Palm Springs and Provincetown, went out of business because of coronavirus. They lasted a month. Yeah, they lasted a month, and they were obviously just going month to month. And that's why I have so many paintings. I have like 40 paintings in my bedroom. Right. It's just stacked up. And so then I was to try to make them more accessible. And that's what I was doing. Yeah. It worked out well for me.
I think at moments like this, you know, artists have to be very flexible in general, but at moments like this, we have to be super creative. Yeah. How we're going to get through this and support one another. I personally want to make sure that the galleries and the spaces where we exhibit work are there when we get through this, and that's a primary.
Well, I mean, something will be there. It may not be all the things that we're used to.
Yeah, things will evolve. I'm enjoying seeing all the virtual exhibitions that are coming up, and how.
Yeah, I have too.
You know.
Yeah, and I've been loving actually the podcasts. There's one podcast in particular that I really love called Talk Art.
Okay.
And all the podcasts and all the Instagram videos with artists and all that stuff is really like super, super fun.
Well, I also think in general, it's, you know, like I was joking, there's like a meme renaissance going on, for one thing. So people are using art in a limited way to express their anxieties and create something, you know, to lighten the mood. Maybe not the highest form of art, but still an expression of humanity.
It's all good. It's all the journey, right?
Yeah, but I've seen like some amazing like collaborations. I saw this great one with dancers this last week, you know, who started off in their studios dancing, and it was probably like 8 to 10 different dancers in different parts of the world. And in the process, I think, you know, the requirement was they had to get to the end of it nude. And so in the process of doing their choreography and the camera going back and forth, you're seeing them like slowly disrobe and everything. And then, and sort of, I guess, you know, a connecting point is because you see all the, you know, I think nudity is so intimidating to the general public, but what it did digitally to connect all these artists and to create this intimate space, like seeing all your paintings in one space, it creates a really intimate experience.
Yeah.